Hello and welcome to Relatable Code. In this video, we're going to talk about operators in Kotlin. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the map operator in Kotlin. I've kept the data class for book and the enum for our genre. Okay. I've also created a list of books, which has basically two books. Okay. So now I'm going to show you the map operator, which goes like this. Let's say we have file titles equal to box.map it.title. What does this do, basically? A map takes a list and applies a transformation for every item in this list. And what I mean by that is, for example, it took a list of books in this case. We applied .map to that list of books. And inside .map, we're only interested in the title of each book. So now if I try to print out the titles like this, and I try to run my main function, you're going to see what this operator does, okay? And that's it. You have a list with the title of every single book in this list, okay? So what happened is we took our list and we applied a transformation for every single item in this list. And with this transformation, we were only interested in the title of every book. So the result was we had a new list which contained the title of every book in our list. Okay, so we had a list of titles consisting of The Hobbit and A Brief History of Time. Okay, that's basically how a map works. For example, if I write it.author and I run my main function again, we have the author of every book. Okay, and you're not only restricted to properties of this book, you can also convert this book into something else. Okay, let me show you. For example, here you have a reference to the book which is the single book in this list of books. Okay, let's say I have a book DTO which will only need a title and an author. So here inside box.map, I'm not only interested in the author anymore, I want to transform this book into a book DTO, which requires a title and an author, which I can supply like this, it.title and it.author. If I try to run my main function again, as you can see, we have a list of book DTOs, the first being book DTO title equal The Hobbit, and author equal this author basically. And the second item is another book DTO consisting of this title and this author. Okay, I hope this example gives you a clear explanation of the transformation that happens with the map operator. Next, I'm going to talk about the filter operator in Kotlin. And for that, I'm going to create another book and I'm going to call it The Hobbit 2. Okay? And with the filter operator, as its name suggests, it basically filters out a list. Let's see how. So we have val, for example, let's say fantasy box equals to box dot filter, like that. And we have it dot genre equals to genre dot fantasy. So what I did here was I took my box list and I filtered out all the genres that matched genre.fantasy. If I try to print out my fantasy books now, let's run our function. And here you can see you have The Hobbit, which is a fantasy book, and The Hobbit 2, which is another fantasy book. As you can see, this book was omitted because its genre was not fantasy. Okay, that was the filter operator in Kotlin. You have two other similar operators, uh, and they are first and last. Let's see how they work. So we have first fantasy book equals to box dot first, and with the same condition, it dot genre equals to fantasy. Let's print out our first fantasy book so that you can see how it works. We can comment out these for now. Let's run our function again. And here you can see this first fantasy book basically went through my books and retrieved the first book that matched the fantasy genre, which was in my case this book. Okay, The Hobbit, as you can see in my output, The Hobbit with this author and this genre. Okay, the last operator works similarly. You have last like this, and here you can write last fantasy book. And what would you expect with this operator? Let's run our function. And here you can see it basically went through my books and retrieved the last book that matched this condition, or that satisfied this condition, which was a fantasy genre. In our case, it was The Hobbit 2. Okay? Another operator you can use in Kotlin is the count operator. And here you can write val, for example, fantasy books count equals to books dot count it dot genre equals to genre dot fantasy. Let's comment out this and let's print out our fantasy books count and run our function. As you can see, we have two, which is correct because we have basically two fantasy books. Okay, it also looks inside our list of books and tries to find the number of books that satisfy this condition, basically. Okay? Now, what if you wanted to know how many genres you had in your list of books? You can do that with a combination of two operators. Okay? Let's write val genres equals to books dot map it dot genre. Let's start with this and print it out. Genres. Let's run our function. And here, as you can see, you have three genres basically: fantasy, and science. But I don't want that because I don't want to see any duplicate values in my output. So here I can use another operator in Kotlin, and that's the distinct operator. Okay, let's run our function again. And as you can see, now I only have two genres, okay, because these are my two unique genres in my list of books, okay, which contain two fantasy genres and one science genre, okay? Okay, so now we're going to learn how to sort this list alphabetically, okay? Let's create a new list here. Let's call it sorted books equals to books dot sorted by it dot title. Let's print out these sorted books. And let's first look at our books. We have The Hobbit 2, and A Brief History of Time. Okay, so alphabetically, you should get this one first, followed by this one, and then this one. Okay, let's run our function. Okay, so we have first a list of books, A Brief History of Time, The Hobbit, followed by The Hobbit 2. Okay, so that worked and it sorted out our list in ascending order. Okay, starting from A till Z. And if you want it sorted by descending order, you can use sorted by descending. It's really that easy. Run your function again. And as you can see, first you have the Hobbit 2, followed by the Hobbit, and at last you have a brief history of time. Okay? And last but not least, we're going to talk about the flat map operator. Okay, now this operator is a little trickier than the other operators, but don't worry, everything will be covered here. So let's say we have a data class order, which contains a list of books. Okay, and every book will contain a title, an author, and a genre. Okay, let's say here we have, instead of purchases, let's call it orders. It's a list of orders. For example, all the orders that were made by the customers. And let's say we have two orders. The first order had two books, The Hobbit and a book called Dune. And the other order had a list of books as well, with a book called A Brief History of Time and a book called 1984. Okay, so here we have a list of orders containing two orders, and every one of these orders containing two books. Okay, let's say we want to retrieve a list of all the books that were basically sold by the library. Okay, this is where the flat map operator comes to play. So here, let's say we have sold book sold books equals to orders dot flat map, and inside flat map you have access to every order. Okay, so from every order I want to retrieve these books basically. Let's print them out like this. Let's comment out our previous code and run our function. And as you can see in the output, we have a list of books, basically, starting with The Hobbit, then Dune, these two books, followed by A Brief History of Time, this book, followed by 1984, which is this book. Okay, so the flat map operator works a little differently from the other operators. It takes a list as a parameter. As you can see, when we hover over it, it takes a list as a parameter, and it returns a list as well. Okay, it took our list of orders, which was a complex list, because it was a list of items, each item having a list of its own. Okay, so we had our orders, and we wanted to just take the books from every order. Okay, inside the flat map operator, we had access to every single order in our list of orders, and we were interested particularly in the books of every order. Okay, so what the flat map operator did here was it basically took these books from every order, so it had several lists at this step, and at the end, when it wanted to return a result, it returned a single list. Okay, so instead of returning this list followed by this list, basically, it flattened them out into one single list. Okay, and that's how the flat map operator works in Kotlin. Okay, if you find my type of content to be relatable, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for future content, and I'll see you in the next video.